As I mentioned, I moved on to the third grade in the fall of 1941, and Mrs. Starnes moved with me, so I had the same teacher for 2 years. And 1941 obviously is remembered primarily or to a great extent, by the fact that Pearl Harbor occurred in December 7th, 1941. Ironically, we did not have a radio in our house at that time yet. We did a few years later, but I went through the whole weekend and back to school on Monday without knowing that any major event had happened. And when I got to school, people that did have access to the news began talking about the war and the attack on Pearl Harbor. Obviously, there had been a good bit of discussion of war because in the 1940-41 period, the Battle of Britain was taking place, where the Germans were bombing London every night, and the British were fighting them off with their great fighter pilots and their Spitfires and that sort of thing. But it really was not quite on the front of most people's thinking until December the 7th, 1941. People became very concerned and very serious about what needed to be done. And the economy also began changing. It had actually improved some in the late 30s, but once the war started, the need for weapons produced a lot of jobs, and people in the Bethlehem area traveled into Hickory primarily to get jobs, and many of them, quite a few of them in fact, left the area and went to places like Norfolk, Portsmouth, places where the military was shipbuilding and preparation of army bases and those kind of things were going on, and they actually temporarily moved to those places because the jobs were quite attractive and paid good money. So 1941 was a very busy year from the standpoint of, certainly from world affairs, and the economy began to pick up. I think on the farm, we were also continuing to increase the number of cows we had, and we were getting in a position to sell the grade seed milk that I have mentioned before. I'm not sure exactly what the date was when we began selling it, but I do remember that for a number of years, in order to do that, my dad had to put the milk in his old Model A and drive about almost to Bethlehem School to a stop where the milk truck could pick it up. I guess the distance was some problem because he would have been driving quite a ways to get to a single supplier, but at about that same time, gas rationing became very common, and everybody had ration stickers. And depending on what your occupation was, how you used your vehicles, you might have an A sticker or B sticker or C sticker or two of the same kind of stickers. I think my dad had an A sticker and a B sticker, and the B sticker, as I recall, was based on the fact that he was taking the milk up to meet the milk truck, a distance of probably 7 or 8 miles to where the milk truck was coming to.